Hello everyone, it's Leo and it's time to talk about the first episode of Delicious Party PreCure, our new PreCure season. I was so excited for this first episode. It's very hard to say goodbye to our beloved Tropical-Rouge girls, but it's time to get some new friends. And I'm very thankful that this season is streaming on Crunchyroll. I am over the moon with those news. Let's talk about this first episode because there is a lot to say. I loved it. Art direction was incredible, voice acting was incredible, story was incredible, effects, everything. I am sold. I am loving Delicious Party already. I am already in my party mood for this season. So the first thing that I really enjoyed is the fact that we have a narrator for this season. Her voice sounds very endearing and she adds a layer of mystery to it all. And I really liked how she introduced the story of the season, but she's like, oh, you're wondering who I am? We'll get to that later. Let's introduce our main character. And so we saw Yui for the first time playing football. And I have been saying this for a while, and I think I was kind of proven wrong in this episode. I thought the Delicious Party was going to be more chill. It was going to be more of like a heartwarming, calmer season. It doesn't really feel that way. It still has a little bit of that chaos that I like. At least this first episode did have lots of chaotic moments, and I really loved it. And Yui, as a protagonist, she really reminds me of like, she's a hybrid of lots of other PreCure protagonists while also feeling very fresh and very different. She can really stand out on her own. And I really liked her in this first episode. So we have like that great scene of her playing football. It seems that she's very good at sports and the sports clubs. They all want her, but she's only there for the food. And right at that moment, we see a glimpse of Yui remembering her childhood when she saw a fairy, a rice fairy. And this already connects her. This already gives her a little bit of magic, a little bit of something else. And it connects her to the story, to the story of the PreCure side of Delicious Party. And I loved that. I really did. And, you know, the fact that she was there for the food only, and I mean, she was very good at sports, but the main reason she was there was because of the rice. Also loved that a lot. And the way the season progressed, the episode progressed was very cool. We were able to see Cookingdom, which looked very cute. I didn't really like the visuals of the king and the queen. I really don't like this trope of like a weird man with a very beautiful woman. And it feels like the male characters are allowed to look stupid and the female characters aren't. And I don't like this trope, so I didn't really like the king and the queen, even though the queen looked very beautiful. And so we are introduced to the story of Delicious Party, which is the SCPP are being stolen by the Bundle Gang, and so Rosemary has to come to Earth so that he can gather the SCPP again. And look, my expectations about Rosemary were very high. And after watching this episode, I can say that my expectations were totally shattered. Rosemary is even better than what I was expecting. I think Rosemary is going to be my favorite of the season. I'm already crazy about Rosemary. You guys have no idea how I am loving their presence in this season. So Rosemary takes the three mascots of the season, and they are introduced by the king, and Come Come, Pum Pum, and Men Men, they're introduced right at the start. And so Rosemary comes to Earth and Rosemary gets very hungry. And so we have Yui saving a baby, which felt very chaotic. That was also the moment that she met Ran for the first time. They had their first interaction. That was a very cute interaction. And Ran's voice is incredible. I love her voice actor so much. We could see Kokone as well. Kokone doesn't interact with the girls, but it was a way of showing her to us the viewers. So that was also very interesting. I also liked that a lot. And we also saw Yui with Kome Kome, Yui's first interaction with Kome Kome. One thing, I imagined that the mascots were able to talk right from the get-go, but it makes sense that they only can speak their names. And we only saw Kome Kome actually speaking out of the three mascots because they're babies, and it makes sense for them to act this way. So we know they're going to grow, or at least Kome Kome is going to grow, so it makes sense for her to act this way. I was not expecting that. That really took me by surprise. Another thing I loved, when I saw the promo images with their school costumes, I didn't like the school costumes, but seeing them on the actual episode, I'm sold. Yui looked awesome with that costume. She really did. So she saved Rosemary. She took Rosemary to her family's restaurant. And this is a crime. This is a crime. Toei is making a crime. The way they are portraying the food, they're drawing the food and people eating the food in Delicious Party, that's not allowed. I just ate and I'm hungry again. I ate already and now I want to eat more. Is this going to be like this every single episode? I think it is, because the narrator really showcases how Oishina Town is a place for you to go and eat and have a feast and eat many types of food that you'd like. And another thing, when Yui was walking and all the restaurants were closed, we could see churrasco, which is very popular here in Brazil. So I felt contemplated. I really felt contemplated, and I loved that Brazilian reference. Was that a Brazilian reference? I don't know, but to me it was, and that's all that matters. Gente, os brasileiros que estão me assistindo, vocês gostaram do churrasco? Eu amei. Eu não tinha churrasco, mas só de aparecer churrasco escrito lá, amei. Anyways, Rosemary goes and eats, and they start bonding. They start bonding, like Rosemary and Yui, they start bonding. Rosemary tells Yui, "You can call me Mary-chan." Love that so much. And I forgot to say, we could see the other person with Rosemary that appears with Rosemary in the opening. They don't do anything, but they're probably part of a mission somehow. And so Rosemary is there. Rosemary has no money, so he has to wash dishes to pay for the food. And I absolutely love Rosemary's personality and the way he was always trying to say the beauty of his, the secret of his beauty. I loved that so much. I love his personality. And then we have this moment of connecting both Rosemary and Yui through the recipe. And I also loved the fact that children are able to see the recipe, and then when they grow up, they stop seeing that and they forget about it. It's like children have that magic inside of them that we lose when we become adults. And I really like how PreCure is always showcasing this in every season in one way or another. But in this season particularly, they went directly for it. So I also loved this message. And Rosemary was surprised that Yui knows about it. And then we see the villains. Look, as I said, I thought this was going to be a chillier season. And in those chill seasons, we have more serious villains. But those villains are just big goofs. Honestly, I didn't... What was I watching when I was seeing those villains? And I love their visuals so much. Dentru, she looks gorgeous, and the other one, Secretoru, I think, also looks amazing. Both of them are everything in this world. And there is a book that they are stealing the recipe, and they're storing the stolen recipes, and that kind of reminded me a little bit of Sweet PreCure. And so we see that Gentru is coming to attack. And when she does come to attack, I'm going to talk about that later. First, we see Yui's mom, and we also see Takumi for the first time, and we see Takumi's mom as well. I didn't really enjoy Takumi's thing with Yui. I really didn't. I don't really like this trope of boy loves girl, but he teases her, he kind of like bullies her, light bullies her, because he actually deeply loves her in secret. You know, that's more or less how I see the way Takumi deals with Yui. But they go on to eat anyways, and when they're eating, Gentulu steals the recipe, and Yui is able to see everything. Rosemary was there, and look, I'm always thinking of PreCure as like a battle show and everything, but I was never expecting something like Delicious Field. I was not expecting something like Delicious Field. I loved Delicious Field. Wow. I was crazy about it. Rosemary, I love you so much. It was so cool. And Yui entering the Delicious Field reminded me of Laura getting out of the aquapot. Lots of references to other PreCure seasons in this first episode. Loved it. And so like we have a totally new space for the girls to fight. And so I feel like they can save a lot of budget with this, because it's probably going to be more or less always the same place, and they're going to be able to fight there. There's not like this worry about people around them or protecting people or protecting their environment. So they can do lots of things with Delicious Field. Love it. And Rosemary, I love you so much. You are gorgeous. And so when we see the recipe being stolen, we can see that there is a deeper reason why Yui loves Recipe so much and cares about Recipe so much. There is a tie, an emotional bond between her and the memory she has when she saw Recipe for the first time, which was very adorable, with her grandmother giving her an onigiri. And so we go to the fighting scene, which is Yui trying to get the Recipe back by herself, not being a cure yet, and you know, she was not afraid. She was really holding on to this memory and to this will of making people happy with food. And at the same time, we can see that Rosemary was actually doing everything in his power to stop the Ubaozo. Girl, that was so cool. And when Gentulu stole the recipe, that scene was so well done. Like the way they directed it, it was incredible. It was out of this world. I loved it. And the way she summons the Ubaozo, again, another awesome scene that really knocked me out. And so through and through, I believe Yui is a big hero. She is a hero. She is someone who is willing to help. She is someone who is willing to do everything in her power to do good. And this good that she is trying to do this time has a connection with herself that makes it even stronger. So she is trying her best, while Rosemary is also trying his best. There comes to a point that Rosemary uses a lot of his power, and the stone he has in his necklace ends up breaking. What does that mean? There seems to be so much in Rosemary's story that is making me so curious about him. Honestly, he seems to be such an interesting character, and I love seeing that, like, out of the main team, because usually the main girls in PreCure are very interesting characters. When we have someone that's not part of the main team, who's also an interesting character, is always a plus. And there also seems to be a connection with, like, there is a legendary PreCure in Delicious Party. Rosemary talks about it, and Rosemary is the one who says, connect with Kome Kome and become a PreCure. And that's when he punches the Ubaozo and the stone breaks. So I wonder if, it seems Rosemary doesn't really know the legendary PreCure, but maybe this stone has something to do with her, and it was passed through generations in his family or something like that, and that is something that he values a lot. That is my theory for now. And we can see Yui becoming Cure Precious for the first time with a gorgeous transformation scene. I loved it. And her 500 calorie punch, honey, that was so cool. And you know, I always love the moment a new girl becomes a PreCure and she realizes that she is a PreCure and that she can do crazy things with her powers. And this episode was no different. I really enjoyed that moment so much. And Gentilu's reactions to everything that Cure Precious was doing was very interesting too. I think Gentilu is going to be a very interesting character. I think she was going to be a stoic character that doesn't react much to things, but that is not her way. She reacts to things a lot, and her voice actor also did an awesome job in this episode. And there was obviously a big, huge reference to Futari wa PreCure in that legendary moment from the opening that has been replicated in All Stars movies as well. Very, very strong moment in the PreCure franchise. It's PreCure history, and they are referencing it directly in Delicious Party. Loved that. The first fighting scene was cool. It was not the best we've ever seen in a first episode, but it was still good. And the attack was very simple. Cure Precious's attack was very simple, very short, but I also loved it. It was super cool. It had those neon lights, those neon triangles, very disco. It has a very disco feel to me. Oh, I feel love, I feel love, I feel love, I feel... You know, that song? It just came to my mind, you know, because it has that feel to me. And I just love it and really, really enjoyed it. And at the end of the episode, we see Rosemary's gimmick again, Rosemary's jokes again, and Rosemary saying, what is a PreCure? It's a secret as well. Why isn't Rosemary wanting to say what a PreCure is to Cure Precious? I don't know. But I feel like I'm loving this mystery. I'm gonna love everything Rosemary does, okay? I'm so sorry. Everything Rosemary does, I'm all for it. I'm gonna say, Rosemary, you're the best. No matter what Rosemary does, honestly. And there was another thing that I forgot to mention. Takumi. When Takumi saw Rosemary, he recognized Rosemary. So Takumi is not from this world, honey. He is not. He is from Cookingdom. I'm sure of it. Takumi has some sort of relation to Rosemary, maybe to Gentilu as well. I don't know. But Gentilu seemed very focused on her mission. So I'm curious to see where this will lead us, where this will lead her character. I think she is going to be a very interesting character. And I already love her. I really liked the animated scenes of her. She looks so cool summoning monsters. I can't wait to see more of her in action. And it seems that the narrator of the story is actually Yui's grandmother, which adds another layer of emotion, at least to me. It adds another layer of emotion to Yui's character. I love that. I really do. Anyways, Delicious Party really stole my heart. This first episode was incredible. Really, really incredible. And second episode, it seems Rosemary will want to go away and won't want Yui to fight. I think there is also an emotional investment that Rosemary probably is not ready to have. And maybe past experiences have tarnished Rosemary's emotions as well. So, very curious for next week. Very curious for more Delicious Party. Very curious for more of those characters. And feeling hungry while watching this. What were your thoughts on Delicious Party PreCure Episode 1? Now available on Crunchyroll. Oh my god. I'm still over the moon. This is on Crunchyroll. I'm crazy about that. Anyways, guys, that was it. I want to take this time to thank the members of the Magical Cinnamon channel. If you are a member, thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate it. And if you've watched up until now, thank you so much as well. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.